Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics to get more people playing your indie game. You are listening to the Indie Game Marketing School with your instructors, Daniel Doan and Tony Chan.
I'm excited about this episode, Erwin, because this is what I specialize in. And we're going to talk about the art of promoting and recording a podcast. And like I mentioned on past episode, podcast is just a great way for people to take in information on the go and anywhere, whether they're jogging or working at the gym. So blogging or podcasting about your game, getting people's attention wherever they are, I think is a great way to get your game noticed. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah. Personally, I love podcasts. I'm like subscribed to like 10 podcasts, mostly marketing, some game design podcasts, some business podcasts. And yeah, I mean, personally, there's nothing better than always listening to something that's educational and like relevant. And so I personally find, myself listening to podcasts, while I'm eating, while I'm driving, just like constantly, just like I'm just so excited, talking about podcasting because I love podcasts. I love like making podcasts. I love consuming podcasts, and yeah. So I think podcasts are also like a great way to market your indie game. So like that's kind of like a stretch, right? But like I think that it can work if you do it right. And the most important part though about podcasts is that it has to provide like a lot of value for the listener, right? So you don't want to like start a podcast and be like, okay, well, I'm going to talk about my game and how awesome it is. Like that's not how it works. You need to figure out, your target audience and you need to figure out what they want out of a podcast. So, so like, for example, let's say that you're trying to build yourself as a thought leader, like in the game design space, right? And you're working on like a strategy game. You could start a podcast where you talk about strategy games and you can also like, do like interviews with other game designers and you can, talk about game design and you could find a way to like, tie in talking about your game into the podcast, So yeah, so like it's all about, finding like a creative way to, give value to people while at the same time, making sure that, it's a marketing effort that doesn't go out wasted.
Yeah, each week, just sit down and make an episode about everything you just went through during that week, all the mistakes you made, all the progress you made, what's going through your mind about the game, about the industry. If people stick around and hear you talk and know what your game is, they're going to stick around to see it through. So, and I had this cool vision where I created like a podcast for like Nintendo or for Naughty Dog because I'm such a big fan of the companies. And I think more companies, they should start doing podcasts as well. So, if if y'all want to start a podcast, hit me, Daniel, up because we want to start that for you. But so, all you need is a few things to start a podcast, which is a mic, of course, a good mic like a Yeti, or what I use is an ATR 2100 or just a regular headset that has a mic in it. And then you could download a program called Audacity or a GarageBand, which is for the Mac, to edit your audio. And then, of course, you have to have like a host. And so I personally use a Libsyn, and that hosts all your media files so you can post it up to the podcast. And Libsyn is awesome because it automatically posts it up to Facebook, to Twitter, to YouTube and stuff like that. So, and it's not that expensive at all. Libsyn is only like $15 a month. And so if you got the budget, I highly recommend you do a podcast. It's really doable, and you get into people's ears where they can listen to your progress, listen to what you're trying to do. And once you automate the podcast and the workflow, it becomes simpler and easier, and you get in a workflow of doing it, and you just start doing more of it. So yeah, definitely podcast is something you could do. And if you want to do a video podcast, you can just record your gaming while you talk over it. So it's a lot of things you could do with podcasts.
Yeah. Personally, I mean, podcasts are awesome and they're super untapped right now. So like, there's not a lot of competition out there in terms of the game design space. And so, the opportunity is ripe for game developers and game designers to, really find ways to add value out there to people. And then, that also gives them like a platform to also promote what games they're working on as well.
Yes, go out there and do it. Man, it'd be so cool if we start this trend, Daniel, where all the game companies just start doing podcasts. So they got us to thank for that. But yes, that's it for today's episode on the art of promoting and recording podcasts. I really suggest you do it. And if you need any help setting up, just let us know. We're here to help you out. I'm Tony Chan from Game Dev Loadout.
And I'm Daniel Dunn from Black Show Media.
This session of Indie Game Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for daily marketing strategies to help you find the fan base your game deserves. Don't forget to rate and review the show so we can bring you more valuable content. Until then, keep pushing forward. We'll see you on the next episode.